this speech. Many older generations believe that millennials today are just entitled and do not want to work for anything. According to Karen Foster, the author of Generation Discourse and Social Change, she states that people born after 1978 are perceived as flaky, lazy, and entitled and just don't and non-committal. Yet with the overblown sentimentality over salary, career progress, and time off. Since most millennials are currently in college and they might be heading into the workforce now or in the coming years, this can affect their them when they're looking for a job by employers, because most of the baby boomer generation, the ones who were born after World War II, I think, today continue to hold most of the jobs, and they have very different views of what it's like to work in the workplace. So it's like, so they tend to find millennials to be entitled. Well, as a millennial myself, I can relate to this, but I don't think that that's necessarily true, because I don't really agree with them. So by taking everything into account, it's obvious that our generation is different in our thinking, in the way that we think, and like the values we uphold and the qualities we possess. First, I'm going to discuss why millennials are perceived as entitled, why we think the way we do, and what values we uphold and what qualities we possess. Now, are millennials really as different as you think? If we go back in time and look at how the baby boomers and Generation X have lived, we would find that they're not that different than us. And I mean, it's really them, experience what we have, and it's just when they were young. So according to Karen Foster, there were studies that have been found to determine their traits, their attitudes, their personality traits, and behaviors, and they're different than the previous generation. They have found this younger generation seems to be more socially conscious. And more community-minded, less cynical than the baby boomers, and while others have found the opposite. According to the New York Times article, many middle-aged business owners and hiring managers claim that the workers today are simply not putting work as their central focus. Instead, they simply don't have a strong work ethic, are not motivated, and do not take the first step in finding solutions to problems, are unreliable, and just not loyal to their bosses. Rather than just working their way up, they want to be told that everything that they're doing is correct, and would like to receive their promotion right away. Now that I've already discussed why the millennials are perceived as entitled, I will now move on to the challenges that they will be facing. Many Generation Yers and the generation that follows may have a lot of challenges that they need to overcome. Foster argues that generation is a matter of ideas rather than a category of people. Today, millennials are the ones that sacrifice the most out of all these generations combined, as we are faced with a stagnant economy, high unemployment rate, large amounts of student debt, and scarce job opportunities. When many of the 20 and 30-year-olds have been polled, their main concern was employment. Since there is a high level of unemployment, it's no wonder that they would like to land their first job and be able to secure it, rather than just stay at home. I mean, what else is there to do if you don't have a job? I mean, I'm sure you can name a bunch of things, but I'm just not one of those individuals who would just, sit there and just be idling around, without finding something useful to do. So for someone to spend all that time and money for college and not have a job before and upon graduation concerns me, but I try to not let it. I try to remain optimistic, and even though the future may not be certain. While most of them have been seen as lazy, it's not likely the economy is actually allowing them to get something to do. Some might argue that they are spending too much time at home playing video games instead of looking for a job. Or for someone who has tried so hard and seem to be down on their luck, they eventually will give up, or they just. But but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're not motivated or lazy. And this, so now you know why millennials are not entitled, spoiled, or lazy, but that they are simply left with so many issues to deal with, and seems like their hands are just being tied. And since I've already mentioned the challenges that they might face, I would like to talk about some of the values that set them apart from the previous generations. While many people are just looking for work to be paid, it seems that millennials are this way of thinking can make the older generations lose respect to them. It's obvious that when you're working, you expect to get paid, but millennials are looking for more than just a job. According to Foster, they want work that gives them meaning and can balance out with their social and environmental values. Instead of being drawn to just materialism, they long for more compassionate, caring, and meaningful relationships. They also expect to meet people while they're on the job and gain some experiences. According to Jessica, program director of UNC Executive Development, the cowboy generation may want to work individually, but millennials want to collaborate, on projects. They might interact with not only their boss, but also with a variety of networks, which may be seen by their employers as being disloyal or showing a lack of commitment. Some might ask why these individuals would want to obtain a job that will leave them with so many hours of downtime, or why it's so hard to keep them in the workforce. Foster notes that they long for something bigger than themselves, such as giving back to their community, pursuing their passions, and developing a genuine love for what they do, and devoting countless hours to it, regardless if the pay isn't as high as they had hoped. Well, now that you have a better understanding of who millennials are and what they stand for, it's time for me to wrap up. Although most generations that precede us may not see what we're worth, we do have a lot to offer. Perhaps what we're doing may not be in line with their way of thinking, but since the past generations focus on getting a good career and an enormous salary as one of the most ideal. And it seems that millennials today are just redefining what it means to be successful, and so now I've covered the way that they think, the values they possess, and the qualities that they have, and can often run counter to that of their previous generations. Well, I've already discussed why they've been entitled and the challenges that they have faced, and how they try to live up to their values. Many may not see that they're contributing much to the economy, with their attitude and things like that. But then again, each generation tends to be more progressive than the older. So the older generation needs to consider the stereotypes that they make about millennials, because they can really affect how long the millennials will be staying in the workplace. And this concludes my presentation. Thanks.